70% of the increase in prices in March came from Putin's price hike in gasoline.
Right, that was President Joe Biden in the state of Iowa yesterday talking about Putin's price hike, the laziest political slogan I've heard in recent history. I mean, just Putin's price hike, something a kid could come up with. The inflation rate yesterday, bad news for the administration heading into the midterms. It's now at 8.5%. It was 1.4% on Joe Biden's first day in office, and the administration turning to a familiar scapegoat when they try to explain that. That is Vladimir Putin in Russia.
Yeah, for more on this, let's welcome back former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor and board member of the American Conservative Union, Katie McFarland. Katie, thanks so much for sticking around with us. Okay, so as Rob just talked about, consumer prices jumped to 8.5% in March, topping most projections and making the fastest annual gain in over 40 years. But we hear President Biden, we hear Jen Psaki, Putin is to blame. But I think Americans know that we started seeing inflation go up the second that he got in office, and gas prices and everything has been going up.
And he should know better, because in the 1970s, let's flash back 50 years. In the 1970s, we had the similar spike in inflation. Why? Because energy prices went up. Because in the Middle East, they weren't shipping oil. So what happened in the 1980s under President Reagan? We drove the price of oil down because the Saudis did pump more oil. Mysteriously, miraculously, inflation went away. We're in the same place now. We have inflation because the United States is not producing energy, oil and natural gas. As a result of that, the prices have gone up. And as the result of the prices going up, that's funding Putin's war. He's going to take in almost $500 billion in 2022 from selling oil and natural gas to Europe. That can pay for a lot of invasions.
Yeah, it's a great point. Germany's paying literally billions of dollars to Vladimir Putin over the course of each month, buying energy from Russia. KT, yesterday I heard this, and it was funny. Some of the media, I heard this yesterday that, well, we're back in 1981. Ronald Reagan, a Republican president, was in office when we had inflation this bad the last time. And I felt like I wanted to call that network and say, yes, but that was right after 4 years of Jimmy Carter. But most of the media, the legacy left-leaning media yesterday, is starting to get behind the fact that inflation is really bad, and this is going to have a really bad effect on Democrats come midterm time in November. Take a listen to how they were characterizing this yesterday.
The White House says those price jumps are happening because of the war and what they call, quote, Putin's price hike. But remember, prices started spiking well before the war in Ukraine began.
People who are already the most economically vulnerable are going to be hit the hardest.
Jet fuel prices are also up 40% since the beginning of the year, 76% since this time last year.
When you account for inflation, hourly wages are actually down almost 3%.
That is a big number. It is as expected, and it is the hottest inflation since 1982.
Okay, so you know it's bad when the legacy media starts getting behind something like this. But are you surprised that Joe Biden didn't talk about solutions yesterday in Iowa? He presented no solutions for bringing inflation down.
Robbie never presents solutions. And I think when you talk about the legacy media saying about inflation being a big problem, they've already decided Joe Biden is no longer going to be president, and the far left agenda probably isn't going to be in the White House in 2024 after the election. So I think they're already jumping ship. They know it's a problem.
Yeah.
But we have massive inflation. And President Biden, he loves to virtue signal. I mean, he virtue signals about, oh, Vladimir Putin is so evil, genocide. Well, is he arming the Ukrainians with the weapons they need to defend themselves by themselves? No. When he talks about inflation, oh, this is so terrible. It's somebody else's fault. Well, is he doing something? Is he doing anything to change that? To Rob's point, all he has to do is allow American energy producers to produce energy. Right. They'll drive the price of oil and natural gas right where it was 15 months ago.
Yeah, Katie, he said yesterday that he's doing everything in his power to reduce gas prices. So he mentioned that he's going to be, using more ethanol, right? But that's only 10% or 2% of gas stations. So there's only 2,300 gas stations in the United States that are equipped to do this. As you mentioned, his solutions are usually short-term. There's no long-term solutions.
Yeah, and look, ethanol, what's that going to do? It's going to take corn out of the mouths of Americans. It's going to take corn out of the food chain. And so as a result of that, food prices will go up even further. Look, maybe he doesn't think he's going to be around long enough to worry about the long-term solutions. Or maybe he's so worried about the green agenda and the Build Back Better and all the programs that he's trying to promote that he's just not going to face reality. But the reality is, as a result of Russia getting rich off of selling oil and natural gas, that's funding their war. So until Joe Biden is willing to put the war on fossil fuels on hold, Putin's going to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. KT McFarland, such a pleasure having you on with us. We appreciate it. So good to get your perspective on everything happening right now. Less than 7 months away from the midterms. Means a lot. Thank you. Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.